Yes, and now if we can go to the third film, which is Joji, which inspired me to do this session. Fahadh Faasil, who is one of the finest actors in India today. And if you look at his range, if you, I don't know whether you all have seen his other films, Anayum Rasulam, whether it be Kumbalangi Nights or Bangalore Days. So what I find again, if we can call it true acting, or again I would use the word cinema acting. He's a very, I think, very cinematic actor, and he's very moldable, and he picks up the character very well, and he looks different, not even look, but he behaves and completely transforms himself into the character, and it works. It works, and it is no coincidence that he is inspired from Irfan Saab. It's another wonderful coincidence. And today we spoke about Irfan Saab, and now we are talking about Fahad Fazil. What I loved about his performance, and I was sharing with Pankaj also the other day, uh, that how he expressed his angst. When he got angry, he went to his room, he shut the door, and when he was angry at his father, or angry with life, or just angry with himself, he expressed his angst without making a single sound. He started beating his chest, he started throwing things around, but he did not make a single sound, beating his chest and expressing his angst without making a single sound. That clinched it for me. I really love that. And then you mentioned the largeness, the locations. In fact, the film starts with the top angle shots of this huge expanse and ominous music playing in the background, and the music also, they did it. They worked very hard on the music, and they did a full orchestra recording, Sofia Orchestra in Bulgarian orchestra. And that reminded me of Shining. This is, mind you, I must say, this is not an adaptation. This is an inspiration. Okay, so over to you all guys.
My first time, I've seen a lot of trailers of Fahadh Faasil, and I'd heard from everybody. Everybody had told me, watch this movie. You actually also had suggested, but I somehow was kind of, I'd worked with Nirmuli Venu, so somehow I knew I have. Adur Gopal Krishnan's one of her favorites. So I know Niduli Venuji, and I'd worked in Cochin. So I was very, I love Kerala, and I love the films there. But somehow it was not coming. I was like, chalo, dekhenge. I'm never really, was not getting into it. But believe me, after Joji, that was my first taste of blood, and I really fell in love, and I loved the taste. I think Fahadh Faasil I think he is another fabulous actor of our generation. There's a new generation. He is so wonderful, and it's so good to watch him. He performs again with a lot of silences. He uses a little nuances to his character. I think I like he makes it like an everyday person. Anybody can relate to him, and that's fantastic. I mean, you see this guy in his Bermudas and his t-shirt, like so bored out of his life, and he's in this COVID situation, stuck in his house, and he puts on. I think it's so us, and that's fantastic when you kind of can do that. You can relate right away that the loneliness, the boredom, the and you are in this, and as you said, it opens with this omni, and that's why I bought Throne of Blood, because it also opens with these, it's expand, it's like a huge space. I think that's fantastic. That's both of the films open very similarly. As for an adaptation, I thought it was a very when I was reading it, they were like inspired. But I think what is an inspire? It's when I was reading about an interview with Fahadh Faasil, and he says that I was inspired by Macbeth. because I thought Macbeth was a little mad. I thought his character, Joji, was mad. So I thought it was very interesting. I don't think it's really an adaptation, an inspiration. I would say it's another take of a piece. I wouldn't call it inspired, but I would take another take. You can take literature and you can do whatever with it and make it your own. And I think the director and Fahadh Faasil has taken Macbeth and has made their own version of it. And I thought it was very, very well, performed, not only by him but by the supporting characters too. I had seen this movie first, then I seen the others, just to kind of have a reminder. And even for that matter, Makbul also I saw. But Joji left a little dent in my, in my in my head, because I feel it kind of, not only does he not, he gets into the skin of your today's if it was a millennial Macbeth, I think this is what he would do. He would kill his own father, and he would do this, and he would do anything to get that, to be where he needs freedom. In this, in his interpretation, Macbeth is not only asking for power, but he wants freedom. He wants to be free of that little closed, rubber band tied kind of. He wants out of it. He wants not only power, he wants out of it. And then when he gets out of it, what he can't control it. So I thought that was very well, portrayed by the actor. I thought, when he was sitting there and trying to fish, and he sees his father's thing. I thought that was fantastic. One of my favorite scenes, by the way, of the film. He sees he's pulling on the fish, and then this father comes out. I was like, freak, this is fantastic. So anyway, so for me that is lovely. And yes, I've tasted the blood and I really liked it.
Since you mentioned little things, that writer Syam Pushkaran, he has written some very wonderful Malayalam films, including Kumbalangi Nights and Maya Nadi. So he's a very well-known, I think, and respected writer over there. So he added a lot of little nuances, like Binsi, she's washing clothes while he's changing the medicines. So that soundtrack also,
And
and when
the
they
washing
start,
machine going on, and he's walking
yes,
down the
yes,
stairs, and
yes,
the washing
yes.
machine is, you, and I thought that's, you don't need music. That itself is music. Of course, I worked with Rasul, so I think, this is what magic of cinema is. You just, sound and light, and the emotions. I thought that was so well, done.
Yes, yes, and very good direction also, because when they start collaborating with each other, Vinci and Joji, then the director shifts to wide angle shots, which are a little distorted. If you, Actually, I saw the film twice, so there's a wide angle shots and a little distorted when they start collaborating with each other. No, and another little detail I'll tell you: after the father dies, they hire a house help. Earlier, they didn't have a house help. Vinci was
Yes,
washing all the clothes herself.
yes.
After their father dies, then they hire a house help. Vinci is sitting aram se on the sofa,
She's actually
and
not
then
sitting. She's not. She's actually painting her nails. If you remember, she's
yes,
painting her nails. So she's got her own time. Like, here's Binsi, who's not just a
yes,
maid
yes.
servant. She's actually kind of looking after herself. She's sitting there and painting her nails. I thought that was such a beautiful.
Yeah, so these little things, and also you mentioned COVID. This is the first film, I think, which I'm watching which has accepted the reality of COVID. Other films are still living in La La Land, but this is the new reality. This is the new mask, and somehow, all some many films will be useless, will be like not relevant in today's times. Anyways, that's digressing a bit. So yes, Pankaj.
Theme was very relevant as she said, and very underlined. Like in the original play or other films, the theme, there are many themes and you can relate to anything, but here the theme is very relevant and very underlined. Also the modern thing that he's not childlike quality, the character itself is like who is not mature, and he accepts himself like that. And the thing is, the theme that separation, what happens in modern world, that if you don't have particular kind of talent or anything, then people starts to suppress you. But you have to also see the qualities he possesses as the man. So you see, his relationship is only established with the woman and the child, the other character who's a child. With other characters, he's not having that kind of relationship that happens in today's world, that he's completely portraying the inner world of the character. He's not at all the character is not at all concerned with the other characters. He's like very logically thinking when he's talking to them. When he's with himself or the child, he's very original and mature. That was in the performance also and in the film also. So here the form, the character, it was more a character oriented, and the character was speaking for itself. The film was more about that character, not completely about that scenario or that kingdom or that mafia, anything. It was about that character.
Yes, and the way he carries himself with confidence, all that is Fahadh Faasil. And the way he shows that he's so mature, and now after the father dies, he's taken over. He's the sensible guy. He's consoling everybody, and the way he's walking, and the horse, he's selling off the horse, and
And he gets the
Yeah.
acceptance
really
also
well.
from that lawyer. He gets the acceptance also from the lawyer when he suggests something, and he says, "You are an intelligent man. You're not like
Yes.
this."
He, from the lawyer, family friend, and also from the priest. He takes the priest on his side,
He gets
and the priest is all for him because of the elder brother's histrionics.
the film starts with a with a third person perspective. This guy, he's delivering the gun, which is the air gun, and the way that whole sequence is so interesting. And here this young kid gets this gun. I think it's so well put together and then going back to this, what Pankaj just said. I think they took the essence of Macbeth, the essence of Macbeth. Here, what is the essence of Macbeth? That there was a man who was so, claustrophobic. He was in need of. He was claustrophobic. He was in need of, a little bit of power. He wanted power. Nobody considered him anything. Here they took that little, if you put pressure a little bit, he'll go to the edge. He was a little mad. He's in that edge. He will just fall. When he's about to fall, you can either you push him or that's. And I thought that was very well portrayed by Fahadh Faasil and Joji. Also, another thing was Binsi. I love that, that Binsi and him, how she saw him put that, every day come and change the medicines. And she sees him and then she ignores him and she does her own chores. How they become partners. The two of them have come to, kind of get rid of this man because they both want out. She wants freedom, maybe from being that, that little, she wants to get her house or an apartment, move towards the city. Her husband says she needs that little freedom, she wants out, and which she does get it. So I think it was very, very nicely put together. I think Fahadh Faasil, I honestly I'm really, really in awe of the actor because he's just fantastic as this guy who's on the edge. And it's so interesting because we are, and I think that's a very good thing. It's a COVID. It's in the situation of COVID, how people are dealing with that, in closed spaces, in their little rooms. They're putting on this thing and they're listening to some classes that is happening, and you're learning, and you are so tired. You're stuck in this little room, in this, thing, and your world is that. And how he goes into his room, he closes his door. I think that's fantastic. And that's what is happening with all of us. I think that's bringing, it's fantastic that you have converged today's world and into literature and taking it into another. I think that's fantastic. It's really good.
Very true, because the themes of loneliness and monotony came after post World War II. The Beckett writer Beckett. He introduced the themes of loneliness and monotony. But whenever this happened in an absurd situation, an absurd place. But very few times I have seen like in a proper plot that there is a structured play or a film, and the theme of monotony and loneliness is going parallel with it because of acting, because of the filmmaking. So that part was beautiful. Again, then the modern killing for me is the silence of the lady. She's not putting something in the mind, but in modern world that happens. People are not killing you on your face. They are not making strategies also. It is silence. जैसे आज लोग बोलते हैं ना, अगर तुम अभी चुप हो तो तुम भी हत्यारे हो, जो समाज में भी the situation चल रहा है. तो she was like silent, and the use of Google and computer to obtain the ideas for the whole thing, that was also very contemporary. So yeah, it can be coined as millennial Macbeth.
Millennial Macbeth. It is the millennial Macbeth. It's today's word is COVID time, the new world Macbeth.
You mentioned dialogue, so I just remember that dialogue when his father is in the hospital for the first time. Then she asks him, has he made a will? And then he says, your father is in hospital and you're asking about the will. And he said, when you ask for fish curry, I thought it's okay. Like, father is in hospital and you're asking for fish curry.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, the dialogues are also very interesting.
It's also very relevant, it's very relevant. It's today, we can all somehow feel it's happening to us. It's in our house. This can happen. And yet it's literature. Somewhere they've inspired from literature. So I feel like literature comes from your own life, and certain things are always remaining, like greed, loneliness, to get free, power. These are things that will remain in centuries and centuries from every. So I think that's what the new world is lonely. That's what he brought in, the loneliness, the bipolar, the craziness. But I think in the earlier films, it's there. The loneliness is still there. Even Irfan had loneliness. In his Maqbool, he was very lonely. He was all alone. He was fighting the battle alone. Even for that matter, even in Throne of Blood, he's alone. He's fighting. The character is alone. He's fighting. He's got nobody. He's got these crazy, his soldiers who are sitting and he doesn't have anybody. He's like going crazy. He's like, oh, the trees will not come to me. And that scene which you like, when he's like, oh, nobody's going to kill me. He goes in and he sees his wife has gone mad, and he's like, what the hell? He's gone mad himself. So I think it's very beautifully, I feel all the three films take these actors, and these actors have taken the essence of that Macbeth, the dual personality of a human being. It just takes a little bit to push someone to the edge. And
another thing which is coming to me right now is just highlighted in my mind is betrayal. Betrayal. This word comes to me, betrayal, because in the end, in Throne of Blood, the soldiers, his own soldiers, betray him.
Exactly.
And he says, you're going to offer my head and surrender. And then when in Joji also, when he deserts him after he kills his brother, he says, I don't pretend. She tells him, don't pretend. So basically she backs off.
When he kills the second time, she backs out, because she only wanted the father gone. But the second killing was, she doesn't want it in her hands. The same thing goes with, if you remember, Maqbool also the same thing. He, the guy, he calls up the politician and he says, can you help me? And he says, hey, the government has changed. He says, but I'm running. So he says, help me. He says, but keep running. They are after me. So he says, keep running. So and even the cops, Nasiruddin Shah and Ompuri, they also turn against him. So it's very interesting that betrayal is such a big part of the fall. As you fall alone, and all the people you think are going to hold you, they're not there. So I think that's another great thing that Joji, I think has taken the essence of Macbeth, of the character Macbeth, and has internalized it and brought it to you. And I feel it's a great homage to Macbeth, and another actor per se, who real natural actor after Irfan would be, I think, Fahadh Faasil is an amazing. Sound effects of the film was so beautifully done, thought about,
It's a
craziness.
well crafted film. It's a well crafted film. All the technical departments were strong. Yeah, and in fact, the director said in an interview that we thought, writer and director had thought of portraying the character in a certain way, but when Fahad joined in, they followed him. As Pankaj said, it's like a character-driven film,
Yeah, it is.
more about the character and the performance and the actor. So they followed him, but of course, the supporting cast was also very strong, and they did a very able and fantastic job as well. And coming back to Makbul, you said about the cops, the betrayal. Yeah, I think they were the worse than witches.
And the
These
betrayal
cops
thing,
were
it's a
real worse than the witches, and the way they performed Nasir and Om, and yeah.
when I was doing my masters, the ये dialogue मतलब हम लोगों के लिए मकबूल के dialogue रटे हुए थे, तो the dialogue was like beautiful dialogue. शक्ति का संतुलन जरूरी है, आग को पानी का डर बने रहना चाहिए.
Okay, so ये जो आग and pani is a theme that is in the Macbeth in the play. So it's a very interesting thing. Like again, and it's also there in the Throne of Blood also. There also the craziness. The guys, if you remember those prophecies, they were really funny. They were like these ghosts. And there also he says that, so I think it's very nicely, like every director has picked something or the other that they have resonated with. And I thought that's fantastic. All three have a very different way of looking at the literature, but have picked up whatever they felt, and it's also attuned to the time they were. Throne of Blood, it was in the early 50s, and then you have Makbul, which is in the 2000s, and I think, and then you have the millennial Joji. So it's a very different. Look at the generation gap of the films. So there are a lot of generation gaps, but in the end, they all have a very nice. They're all connected because it's literature in the end, and it's a character piece. So the characters don't die, and the of human beings, of being a human being, and their needs for the emotions, the greed, all that is there. So I think all that remains.
Three great actors. And just as an aside, I was going to say Kurosawa shot in a very godforsaken location just to get those fogs and to create that ambience of the witches, those fogs. He went to some place and he built sets there.
Wow.
Everything was so correct. Abhi ek cheez something came in my mind that in Joji, we talk about masculinity every time the Lady Macbeth says in both the play and the Throne of Blood and Makbul that be a man, show me how man you are. And in this film Joji, that is also underlined, like both of father and the big brother, both are very masculine and who are doing bodybuilding and everything. And this guy is like every time, and that is the thing I think his father hates about him, that either he's not productive nor he's a man. He's like very this kind of, and he physically suppresses him, not only like mentally, physically tries to suppress him many times in the film.
He's a loser. He's called a loser. He's called a blanket boy. And I think Fahadh Faasil has lost weight for this film. I think he's looking much more thinner. I'm not sure, but I think so. He has lost weight also.
And I can say some dialogues of Makbul because like that is fanboy thing of 2008, 2010.
Yes, please.
Like there was a dialogue of Pankaj Kapoor, then politician comes ki गिलोरी खाया करो गुलफाम, जबान काबू में रहती है. That was very very beautiful. और एक बार जब इरफान मारने के पहले ये इरफान के पास वहां जाता है तैयारी देखने के how preparation is going on when the Irfan Khan and Taboo are together in that place. So जब वो बिरयानी बनवा रहा होता है तो पंकज कपूर आता कहता है जी करता है अपना गोश्त पकवा के तुम्हें खिलवा दें.
Marlon Brando. Pankaj Kapoor, I think, was inspired from Marlon Brando and Godfather. आवाज ही बदल दिया.
नहीं, पंकज कपूर बहुत सारे फिल्मों में वो करते थे फिजिकल काम.
Absolutely, he is into completely method acting. I have heard from Kundan Shah. He's completely into method acting. He becomes the character in his own house, and he behaves in a very different way. Like he becomes the character.
And he was not that old, like the way he was dancing. he was not that old. Then also he was dancing like this.
Yes, yes. Fabulous actors and great actors, and who performed Macbeth and a classic piece.
Three different worlds come together and yet they have the same story to say. I think that's fantastic.
Yes.
For more such videos, please like, share and subscribe. Cinema Satsang.